In 2019, I converted a Citroen Relay L3H3 panel van into a fully off-grid camper, equipped with 300 watts of solar power, a shower, kitchen, sink, a fixed double bed, and more. I filmed the whole process, did one epic trip along the wild Atlantic way of Ireland, and then, as the pandemic lockdown started to get too restrictive, I decided to head back home to South Africa. After much deliberation, I decided to sell the van instead of shipping it to South Africa, and ended up making a profit on the sale, and used the money to buy a piece of land in the sleepy neighborhood of Fisher Haven, near Hermanus, for a bargain price of 680,000 rand. By this time, I had managed to miraculously meet the man of my dreams while surfing during lockdown at my local break, after having been away for more than a decade. To make things even more perfect, he happens to also be a draftsman. We spent a year dreaming about building our own home, but obviously were concerned about costs, when another blessing came our way: a rotational yacht job as relief chief officer on a large explorer yacht. 2 months on and 4 months off. I got a sail in Costa Rica, Curacao, did the Panama Canal at night, crossed the Atlantic from Cape Town to the Azores, swam with sperm whales in Dominica, amongst just a few of the highlights, and managed to save a good chunk of cash to invest directly into the future build, but still giving us enough time to have a full life together when home, and also the freedom to pursue my photography without financial worry. Fisher Haven is a stunning area along an estuary with mountain views and unreal sunsets. There are even wild horses that cruise the streets. The plot was huge, more than 1,000 square meters, flat, bright, and a safe bet to build on. However, something else came up that stole our heart. We sold the Fisher Haven plot for a profit of 100,000 rand and exchanged it for a smaller, steep, rocky, challenging piece of land along the Hermanus River. The location suited us better as it's closer to town and also on the doorstep of our local surf spot. The plot was on the market initially for 800,000 rand, but we managed to close the deal with a strong motivation for 650,000 rand. Giving up Fisher Haven for Hermanus was very much a heart over head decision, but with Alain's knowledge and experience, I felt confident in our swap. We started by having a large alien tree felled. Unfortunately, our timing was a little off, as it was just before school holidays started, and a bunch of local neighborhood kids had made it their clubhouse. We felt really terrible about ruining their holiday hideout, but at the same time excited to start seeing the plot reveal itself. The land is about 659 meters square, but due to a high watermark, it is cut almost in half, which gives us a possible footprint of only about 220 meters to work with. The steep terrain drops off dramatically where the pavement ends, and this dictated our design from the very start. The driveway would need to be on the first floor, and we would need to apply for a waiver application, which is a bit of a bureaucratic process and will dictate how, if and when we would be able to start building. We revised the plan several times but finally settled on a solid concept, all thanks to Alain's hard work after hours. My biggest concern was always time and inflation. As a result of the global pandemic shutdown, our economies have never recovered and catalyzed now with a new proxy war in Europe and probably a sprinkling of CBDC reset plans, and on top of that Eskom failing in South Africa, deliberately or as a result of planned neglect and sabotage, you be the judge. Everything is going up in price at exponential rates. As time goes on, the project will become less and less achievable for us, as we really feel strongly about not taking on debt. Alain had to work in overdrive to make sure my doomsday predictions didn't come into fruition and derail the plan for our dream home before we even started. As mentioned before, the plot is very steep and along a riverbank, making the build a challenge, especially as local regulations prevent us from going over the high watermark, using stilts or having an angled roof. Our initial concept was a barn-style house, but as the design evolved, we ended up opting for a Bali style instead, or as I like to call it, Afri Bali. The plot is located in a close and it is incredibly peaceful. There are a wide variety of bird life, porcupines, otters, and there are even rumors amongst the neighbors that a mountain leopard has been spotted along the riverbank. The river used to flow freely, however, after the dam was built and water flow reduced, reeds started to take over the entire river. Controversial subject amongst the community, as clearing the reeds will disrupt many bird species. However, the reeds should not be there in the first place. The municipality and/or private funding is apparently going towards clearing the river, which selfishly for us is good news. There is a stunning willow tree on the neighbor's plot to the right and some other interesting plant species already growing on our plot as well. The soil is incredibly fertile. The next step, while we waited for the waiver to go through, was to start cleaning the rest of the alien vegetation and shrubs and the huge roots of the tree that was felled a few months earlier. Still afraid of inflation, I started purchasing items such as large water catchment tanks and young plants that will eventually be transplanted into our tropical Afri-Bali style garden. I of course wanted to start buying sinks, couches and bricks in advance, but it was forbidden. As the middle of 2023 approached, I was almost ready to head off again to do my stint on the yacht for 2 months, this time in Norway and the Arctic Circle. A bittersweet experience every time, and leaving my loved ones never gets easier. Yet the excitement of a new destination remains tantalizing, and apart from that, we need more money for the build.